So excited about this walk today. I'm going to walk the Chess Valley Way, or the Chess Valley Walk, starting here at Rickmansworth station out on the Metropolitan Line, and it's about a 10-mile walk finishing at Chesham. Glorious walk through the Chilterns, and I'm so excited to be finally doing this walk. It was first suggested to me, I think, about 2 years ago. First things first though, I think I need to navigate my way into this enormous Waitrose to get some food for the journey ahead. So here's my provisions from Waitrose, kind of natural bar, protein bar, fruit and nut, a chicken and ham and parsley pie, which I'm going to eat now at the beginning of the walk. It's about 11:45 a.m. and a roast chicken and stuffing sandwich for lunch. And I've got some fruit, got an apple and an orange, so I should have plenty to get me through, right? God, look at that lot. I'm used to walking on my own, having no one around. Look, there's a massive group of people, and I bet they're doing the Chess Valley Walk. So I think the River Chess is down there on the other side of this park here, where those people are going. Once upon a time I probably would have made some sort of comment about the horrors of a big group walk like that. But then the experience of guiding the walks that I did last year for Waltham Forest, Borough of Culture, completely changed my opinion of that. We had such a lovely time, groups of about 15 people, so I'm going to withhold that sentiment. I think I've got a really good chance of getting a steal on that group later on, because they look like the sort of people who come out just for a day out. They're not going to make it past the first pub at around the 5-mile mark. They'll go in there for a pub lunch, whereas I'll be eating my chicken sandwich on the go. This pie from Waitrose is great. Well done, Waitrose. £1.49, worth every penny. So we're just on the edge of the Chilterns. I'm sure many of you will know I grew up in the Chilterns myself. A little way away from here, between High Wycombe and Beaconsfield. Rickmansworth is an interesting town. It's a town of 3 rivers, in fact. And we're following one of them here, a chalk stream, the River Chess. Big moment in the year. First time you take off your kind of insulation layer. Puff jacket's just come off. I don't need it today. Feels quite warm, probably because I've just eaten that pie. Sent my blood pressure rocketing. But no beanie either, bare head. Let's see how long it lasts. If it gets through an hour, I'm declaring spring. And here it is, the River Chess, beautiful chalk stream. And wow, you can see it's running really high. There's been a lot of flooding in the UK this week. You can see some sandbags here. Some information. The River Chess is a chalk river. Its naturally clean waters rise from the underground chalk, the same place that your drinking water comes from. One of the most important rivers in Hertfordshire, is highly valuable for wildlife, some of which is quite rare. Such a beautiful little river, isn't it? So beguiling, calm and peaceful. You can see how crystal clear it is. Wow, the wind has really whipped up. It sounds furious as it rages through these trees here. I nearly made the first mistake of the day and crossed that lovely little wooden bridge. But then I went to check the way markers, and actually the Chess Valley Walk carries on along the path here. So it looks like we've got to walk around the edge of this meadow here. I think the river is running over there to the right, and the large group of walkers are out of sight now, which is nice. I feel like that large house sat back there is significant for some reason. Obviously in the Chilterns you get a number of wealthy and famous people that moved out here in the 19th century, in the 20th century. I wonder whose home that was. I nearly went wrong again. I nearly turned right here down that path there, but I can see up these steps on the far side it says Chess Valley Walk there. Over we go. Don't want to tempt fate, but I'm probably, what, mile and a half into this walk. Haven't even taken my Ordnance Survey map out of my bag. Is this going to be an example of a walk you can do just by following the signposts? I've thought that before in the London Loop and it came a cropper pretty much as soon as they said it. I've just realised, I think Rickmansworth is the setting for the Tropic of Ruislip, the wonderful Leslie Thomas book which references the canal. I'm pretty sure that is set in Rickmansworth. Could be wrong. We have another kind of footpath junction here, but I'm going to take this Chess Valley Walk sign pointing the way I've just come from here as an indicator that this is the way we go. I mean, what can go wrong? Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is correct. You can see where the footpath splits there. Put a little arrow in. So places we've missed. The Royal Masonic School you can see there. And then Loudwater Farm, which apparently is an ancient site of occupation dating back to at least the 4th century. I can hear the distant white noise of the M25, which I think we're about to pass beneath. This first section here perhaps isn't as bucolic as one might have thought, but it in a lot of ways makes it far more rewarding. I love a little bit of edgelands, as you know, so this will make the release into the Chilterns more pronounced. And here's the Chess. Looks like here it's making its confluence with another stream. So it looks like we're going over the M25. There it is, Iain Sinclair's London Orbital. There's the group that we saw at Rickmansworth, making way across that field there. And now we turn back towards the river here. Look at that wood there up on the far hill. Oh, that's the kind of thing that will entice me back to explore that. We're passing around the edge of Chorleywood House Estate. You can see, I think the red line here is the Chess Valley Walk. Enormous tree here lying across the footpath. I wonder if that came down in one of the two recent storms, Kiara or Dennis. Would like to have been along here when that came down. And here's the first proper crossing of the river of the day. Great to be reunited with this beautiful little river. It's so beautifully clear, isn't it? That's a kind of classical Chilterns landscape there, rising up above the river. You can see the chalk laying in the field. One of the great things about bringing a camera along and making a video like this or taking photos is it does force you to stop and to take in your surroundings and focus on maybe small features in the landscape and the environment, listen to things differently. The other groups of walkers, I think about 4 groups of people have gone through me since that first group that started off ahead of me. So you can see the difference in pace between people who are just out for a walk and having a chat, and when you're on your own and you're with a camera and you're making a document and sharing it with you. I'm actually a little bit disappointed not to be taking that path up there, but we actually carry on along here, along a narrow footpath. And there's the river down there, at the bottom of this field. So many footpaths branching off in all directions, all of them look incredibly enticing. Chilterns really is a fantastic area for walking. I feel it's a little bit overlooked and underappreciated in this day and age. Back in the 20s and the 30s, there's lots of publications and even little film clips urging people to go out and walk in the Chilterns because it's so close to London, very easily reachable on the train and on the tube. In this case, the tube goes out to Amersham, and each stop is a perfect place to launch a foray into the Chilterns. Wonderful hanging wood up there above the river. Woods like that are so laden with narratives. Woods like that would set me daydreaming when I was a kid. Trees have stories. We just need to stop still enough to listen. What are these guys here? Are these llama? Alpaca? Got a watercress farm here. Very old crop to be grown along the riverbanks. I'm only about halfway along this walk, probably about 5 miles in, and already I've seen more walkers walking in both directions along the Chess Valley walk than I have, I think, on all of my London Loop walks combined. I mean, people doing the London Loop. It's extraordinary, and it's a point I made in my book, This Other London, that if you come out into the Chilterns, you'll be tripping over walkers at every stile. Whereas if you walk around the outer suburbs of London, you'll barely see a soul. And that is so true. Today's been another reminder of that. So we're passing through Frogmore Meadow, a traditionally managed lowland meadow. I don't know if you can hear that creaking in the trees there. Across this muddy field now, really regretting leaving my walking pole behind at home accidentally. Whenever I pass people on a footpath, I always just make eye contact and say hello, good morning, good afternoon. The way I was brought up. I used to see it's a polite thing to do. Hello to a fellow walker. And the amount of people that just sort of look at you sort of blankly or sort of get a bit of a start and a bit of a jump and they kind of meekly go, oh, hello. It's interesting, isn't it? Very few people will just return it in the same manner. What's that about? I don't understand it. Is it the beard and the hair, the orange beanie? So we are now in Buckinghamshire, county of my birth. This is a fantastic bit of water meadow along here. Incredibly windy today. I hope the sound comes out okay. Seeing this beautiful little bit of chalk stream here reminds me of an episode of Country File that I saw quite a few years ago, and I believe it may have been shot along the River Chess. Anyway, I picked up a book a couple of years ago called Silt Road. Nice play on words on Silk Road. That is about the chalk stream that runs through High Wycombe, runs through the village where I grew up in Woburn Green. And it's a really beautiful book by an author called Charles Rangeley-Wilson. And I'm pretty sure he presented that item on Countryfile. Highly recommend Silt Road, look it up. You've seen that river on at least one, if not two, previous walks. I'll put a link below anyway. So this is interesting. Just beside the path here, we have this brick tomb, and this is where William Liberty was buried, of the famous Liberty's family of the Store in central London. He requested to be buried here in 1777. It's now insanely windy. It's really hard walking straight into the wind here. Just taking a very short detour off the path. Let's have a little look at Latimer village. This is also the land of 50s and 60s film producers. I know all this because my dad would do their gardens. Back on the Chest Valley Way across this field here. Wow, that's quite some pile. Latimer House. So down there is the site of a Roman villa on Latimer Park Farm. They reckon settlement goes back at least to the Iron Age. Climbing up along this ridge now above the river. See, the path goes around the edge of this field beneath that wood at the top of this hill here, with these strong winds rattling the boughs of those trees. Descending this ridge now through the edge of this little wood here, and we're skirting around the edge of Amersham. Quick update on the whole greeting people along the path. Recently, the last couple of miles, people have been a lot more responsive. I've even had little chats with a few people as well. So maybe that was just a kind of Rickmansworth thing. Although it is quite common in a lot of areas actually. And there we go. Thought this was right. Continue along this lane here. Something very romantic about a field like this with the trees silhouetted on the skyline there. Really reminds me of childhood. I realised a couple of years ago when I was doing a walk, I think it was through Hainault Forest in the summer, that actually all my childhood memories of going out walking in the woods and the fields were in winter. And that was because my dad was a mad cricketer through my early childhood, until my teens actually. So we'd only really go walking outside of the cricket season. And then when the old man quit cricket when he was in his early 50s, we took up golf collectively. So the weekends we would play golf. So actually, you know, it's weather like this and landscapes like this with the bare trees and the deep green of the fields. This is the landscape of my childhood, really. This is also the landscape of the world of Roald Dahl, particularly Danny, Champion of the World. Roald Dahl lived not a million miles away from here. Dad used to see him about the place when he was doing his gardening work. This walk has been blissfully free of road walking. It looks like we've got to deal with this road here for a little bit. Here's the river, which we haven't been close to for a little while. So now look, this could explain that big group of walkers earlier on and the furious pace they went up at. The Chest Valley Challenge. Yes, we turn right down this little lane here. Homing in on the end of the walk now. Not far to go, probably a mile or two perhaps. Now the river feels wilder here. This will be where the water sprites dwell. This is interesting here. We have some kind of industrial units beside the river. First such things we've seen since Rickmansworth. Wow, look at this path here. It's just coming up to 4 o'clock, and it's great really because it's coming into Chesham, left Amersham. It's the end of the walk, the last section. I don't know how far it is, but it's not very far. And after a day where there's been walkers all the time, I've been crossing paths with people pretty much constantly. This last section, I have it to myself. All those other people are probably in the cafe by now, or in the pub. Isn't that majestic? So we're just coming into the Chilterns town of Chesham, which, as the name would tell you, Chesham, or settlement on the Chess. What a really gorgeous, delightful river it is. Classic recreation ground on the edge of town. Sultry end to a Saturday afternoon in the winter when the football's on the radio. I bet there's some epic football matches played out here. I really love the feel of a provincial town late on a Saturday afternoon. Passing beneath the tube line here. And of course, Chesham is one end of the Metropolitan Line. I think it's the very extreme end of the Metropolitan Line. It must surely be the most distant tube station from central London, I would have thought. That's great. Here the River Chess runs beneath the Metropolitan Line. What a wonderful sight. And fittingly, right there beside the River Chess is the Inland Waterways Association. And that house there. And the Chess Valley Walk continues just for a short distance here. There's a lovely little section here called Waterside. Of course, there would have been paper mills along the Chess, particularly around the towns, like there was along the Wye through Wickham. The daffodils are out in bloom in Chesham, out here in the Chilterns. Might not even in bud in my garden. This is really idyllic here as the stream works its way around the town. Continue along Water Lane. Classic bit of Chilterns brick and flint over there. So I've got a feeling that here beside the Queen's Head is our last view of the river. That does look like a fine pub, doesn't it, the Queen's Head? A bit early for me. It's about 4:30, so another couple of hours before I'll have my first pint. There's a little glimpse of the river here between these houses. So I'm going down this little lane just opposite the Queen's Head because I'd like to see the possible source of the Chess having come all this way. So I think the official end of the trail goes up the high street there to the tube station. Possibly even comes off slightly earlier. But like I say, I feel like I've walked all this way. It seems wrong not to at least try and find the source. And there's a pond up here, which could be the source, if it's accessible. Look at this. The Chess emerging from a pipe from under the road. This certainly has the feel of being near the source of a river. And here it is on the other side of the road. I don't think the pond there is accessible. That's a much more satisfying end to the Chess Valley walk for me than just going up to the tube station. Here, standing beside the source of the river. Magnificent stuff. What a fantastic walk that was. It's got to be one of the most kind of gentle and genteel 10-mile walks that I've done. It certainly doesn't feel like 10 miles. It takes about 4 hours, 4.5. Unless you're with that group doing the challenge, and I reckon they probably did it in about 2.5 hours. Thank you so much for coming with me on this glorious walk. You're always great company. And I look forward to seeing you on the next walk, wherever that may be. I genuinely have no idea, seriously, wherever that may be.